In the case of Taylor Swift versus Spotify, Swift has chosen to remove her entire music catalog due to insufficient compensation from the streaming service. This results in a consumer surplus and decreased value for paying Spotify members. This type of situation can be avoided in the future if there is a revision of copyright laws which seeks the best interest of both artists and the consumers.
This issue is a market failure because it demonstrates a monopolistic behavior of both Taylor Swift and Spotify. Swift and her record label, Big Machine Records, did not believe they were being compensated fairly by Spotify for the use of their music. Swift's party wanted Spotify to make her music available only to their paid subscribers, which would essentially raise the price of listening to her songs through their service, and this would decrease consumer surplus for the free members that want to listen to Taylor Swift. This is demonstrated by the graph below, with the loss in consumer surplus as the price increases. The market failure here is more significant because both sides are monopolistic. Taylor Swift is being monopolistic because she wants to raise the price charged to consumers to listen to her music, and Spotify is being monopolistic because they will not change the price that they pay to use the artist's music.
Swift pulled her music from Spotify and believes that she was not being paid fairly. She continues to utilize other channels for payment, such as album sales and higher-paying services. The decision to leave Spotify leads to many forms of harm to both Swift and her fans, such as consumer harm, financial revenue harm, and the potential of economic harm if other artists follow. The fact that paying subscribers are unable to listen to T. Swift's 1989 album reduces consumer value of this streaming service, which then ultimately decreases the amount of people willing to pay for the premium service. So what happens if other artists follow suit? We'll see further reduction in membership value, an increase in piracy instead of buying the physical album, and consumers will utilize other services that don't compensate artists, such as YouTube, SoundCloud, Pandora, etc.
Another type of harm is the lost earnings for Swift. Streaming services increased by 28% in the first half of 2014 and now account for 27% of total revenue in the music industry. By pulling her music from Spotify, Swift is alienating a large and growing market and giving up long-term profits from royalties that album sales do not provide. Taylor Swift pulled her music in order to increase album sales, but consumers may turn to piracy services to illegally download her music now that they are unable to listen to it for free on Spotify. The Institute for Policy Innovation reported that the U.S. economy loses $12.5 billion to piracy every year. A 2011 study in Sweden showed that since 2009, numbers of people who download music legally had decreased by more than 25%, and 89% of Spotify subscribers in Sweden had decreased their rate of illegal downloading. A survey by the NPD Group showed that the number of files downloaded illegally decreased by 26% from 2011 to 2012 due to increases in streaming capabilities. If too many artists remove music from free streaming platforms, increases in music piracy could further minimize the amount artists make from both paying and non-paying customers.
With the demand for streaming services growing and the willingness of consumers to pay a price for such, by revising the current copyright laws to allow each artist to negotiate with the streaming services when forming a contract will benefit the artists themselves, the streaming service, and the consumers in the long run. By giving the artists the ability to specify their contracts with such services based on their specifications, artists will still be able to make revenue for each time their songs are played, yet it does not compromise the quality of the service for both free and paying customers. Overall, by modifying these laws, you allow the streaming industry to continue to grow. Artists will continue to be compensated for their work as more and more consumers will utilize these services instead of resorting to piracy and other outlets, which ultimately artists do not profit from.